Well, it's 4:44, almost 4:44, and it's good to be with you again. I first want to share with you something that we knew was going to happen after I last spoke a week ago. They told me that some people would not like some of the messages and some of the truths that I shared and would no longer want to be a part of our website. They would leave our chapel, so to speak. In other words, they would say, "You are blue. We thought you were green because we want you to be green. And now you are talking as if you were blue." And I say to them, God bless you. Perhaps it is time for those of you that cannot accept that we are blue, that you find others who are green that want to live with those truths. Rather, the truths that are being shared to me, shared to us by the community of spiritual masters and our allies from other places. So God bless you for those who no longer can recognize or can no longer identify with the words that we're sharing. This is fine. You have free will, and we knew this was going to happen. And there'll be many others also. Some of the messages I'm going to share with you today will feel that you cannot identify with these messages, and you may also choose to no longer be part of the Great Tomorrow and to find some other place where your belief systems and your truths are consistent with the truths of others who perhaps do not share the same truths that we've been given now. But it's not the number of people that's involved that's important. It's the quality. I don't want to use the word quality to imply these other people are not quality, but the quality of the people that have the same intentions and the same beliefs that we share. Because what will happen eventually, even if our group becomes half the size it is now, as time goes by, we'll grow and we'll grow. There's 7 billion people on this planet, and our goal is that someday the Great Tomorrow can reach millions and millions of people so that we can't even use this website. We'll have to find some other means of communication, which is going to happen someday. So I say that it's important that we acknowledge that we are being spiritually guided by those who are a community of masters, that we acknowledge them and honor them, for indeed they are giving us the direction and the truths, and some of the truths they're giving us are not consistent with truths that you've been told in the past and that you believed in. I want to pick up where I left off last week, but I want to back up about a couple of paragraphs, notes. One of the things they told us is they recognize that we in the Great Tomorrow, we cannot do it by ourselves. And they are going to help us because they're going to change the leadership in the world. Not just the leadership in politics. I'm talking about the leaderships in every important field. Education, government, business world. Every field that you can think of leadership. They are going to help change those who are the leaders and try to bring into power those in positions of authority who share our beliefs of universal love and universal compassion, so that all the energies, all the resources of the world can be brought together to bring in the Great Tomorrow. And they also ask that we give them credibility, that we acknowledge it for what their role is. Because indeed, they are giving us these opportunities. Now, you might ask the question, are they coming from ego, that they wish to be honored and acknowledged? They are no different than an author who writes a wonderful book and wants their name in the book. It's not coming from ego. They just want to be acknowledged and honored, just as we honor God and we acknowledge God. They want to be acknowledged also, for they also are servants of God. And they are showing us leadership, just as perhaps there are other people in positions of leadership in government and education that are providing leadership to their students, because indeed we are their students and they want to be acknowledged and honored. So I asked them before the show started that they give me the words to say and the ability to communicate with you in words that you can understand, that you can comprehend, that I'm not speaking above or below anybody, and that we are sharing messages which are universal truths. And I ask them to open up your minds, your hearts and souls, and your comprehension of the words I'm sharing with you. And they also said it's very important that you do visit the site that the other core group, the other group has, which is, and that you read. The site I'm speaking of is Speak to Serve, which is also one of the sites that the community of masters are sharing their knowledge and their truths. And particularly, they wanted to read a section from Saint Germain. I don't know why, but they said that. Now, as you know, Speak to Serve is a separate group, but they've asked us to respect them, to show them the same respect that we asked them to respect us, because even though we're a different group, they also have their mission, which complements the mission that we in the Great Tomorrow have. We have our own mission, but we have to respect each other's missions, each other's purpose, for we have the same goal, and that is to create the Great Tomorrow, or what the masters refer to as the Golden Age. You can use it either way. You say the Golden Age or the Great Tomorrow. They said it was a good analogy, that the words had similar, the phrases had similar meanings. Now, one of the things they told us is that the Great Tomorrow, I am no longer the leader. I am one of 4 people. I am one of 4 people. And it's our group, our Great Tomorrow. It's important that you know that as we select those who become part of the Great Tomorrow, they gave me the analogy, whether it be done within our core group of the 4, or whether it be done of all of our people, that a chain is only as strong as its weakest link. And we only want to bring those who have a similar strength in the beliefs and the intentions that we have. Because if we have other people join us who have their own motivation for joining us, which is not consistent with our intentions, such they're doing it for ego purposes, or they're doing it because they want to jump onto a bandwagon. This is what happened 2,000 years ago. Those who joined the Brotherhood, the original people that created the teachings of Joshua. And so many people jumped on the bandwagon. The reason that Paul left them, because they really weren't truly believers, because they wanted to become identified with a movement that was taking place. And they weren't sincere in those messages that were being shared. We'll have the same thing happen today, perhaps, but we must be to have discernment in terms of those who join with us, that they have the same intentions and the same motives that we have, and that is to bring in the Golden Age and the Great Tomorrow. I want you to think of the Great Tomorrow as a sphere, a circle. And within this circle is a core group of 4, which I'm one of the 4. And coming out of that core group, there are 4 trees. 4 trees, 4 missions. The Great Tomorrow no longer just has a spiritual mission. It has 4 missions. One of the missions is to bring food to the hungry people of the world. So that all people all over the world have the ability to feed their children. One of our missions, one of the people in our core group, has spent the last 6 months in Laos, feeding the hungry children, teaching them how to grow rice fields and hemp fields, and building schools for them. We actually have a product within the Great Tomorrow that we can take this product and put it on the fields that are growing. It increases their production by as much as 300 or 400% in about half the time to grow. In other words, if you had an apple tree that was producing 20 apples, with this product, which now is being given to the Great Tomorrow, that apple tree instead can grow 100 apples rather than 25, and in half the time. And it's with this product and products like that that the Great Tomorrow will be able to feed the hungry children of the world. It's a matter of us teaching them how to grow the products themselves, so they in turn can be totally self-sufficient which brings me to another point of the Great Tomorrow, which I'll say that for last. So that one mission, one tree coming out of the Great Tomorrow is to feed the hungry children in the world, all over the world. So there are no hungry children. There are no hungry people. The second mission has to do with the health, the second tree, the health of the people. Yes, we have a cure for cancer. We have, no, I shouldn't say that. We have a product that can heal cancer. Eventually, it will become a product that we can make into a vaccine. But we first have to heal those who already have cancer. Then we can then provide the vaccine, create it, make a vaccine into it. So there's no longer cancer in the world. So the second product, the second tree, has to do with the health of the people in the world, all the people in the world. I did not know this, but a cavity is actually an infection. I did not know that. And we have a product. When you have an infection in your arm, you don't take a drill and drill a hole in your arm. You put medicine on it. And we have an actual product, the Great Tomorrow, where we can put this medicine on the cavity, and it heals the cavity. It heals that infection, so the cavity is no longer there. The dentist simply takes some enamel and puts it over your tooth and lets it dry, and no more drilling. And for one fraction of the cost, yes, we're going to put the drilling companies out of business. And the needle that you take to numb your mouth will no longer be needed. This is some of the products that the Great Tomorrow has in the tree, which deals with the health of people, that we can make available for a fraction of what it costs today to go to a dentist to drill, or for chemotherapy, or radiation. There will no longer in the future be mastectomies. No longer will doctors be cutting off the breasts of women, because the Great Tomorrow has a product which indeed heals cancer cells, deletes cancer cells, and heals those who have cancer. So that's the second tree from coming out of the Great Tomorrow. The third tree is our spiritual one. That's, of course, where you come in. What is happening in the spiritual world from the Great Tomorrow that will impact the lives of people? Well, number one, there's going to be two movies made. Two movies, one of the messengers and another movie for the commitment. And I've spoken just as recently 3 days ago with those who are going to make the movie. And there'll be a documentary made of my experiences. Not me as a person for ego, but the messages that I share. The messages that spiritual masters are giving to me. And they'll show how this evolved. They'll tell the story of Dwayne Berry and how I went through my metamorphosis, so to speak, into becoming from a pupil to a teacher, now being taught from a pupil again from the spiritual masters and sharing their messages. Sarah will be in it. There'll be healings in it. That'll be part of the documentary, which will have a major impact on people all over the world to recognize that indeed God's power has no limitations to it. We will do live healings. Even Tammy Ann, who's sitting behind me, will appear in a documentary saying the healings that she's had. Tammy Ann is here, by the way. She's sitting to my left. And Tammy Ann, do you want to say hello just very quickly?
Hello, everybody.
Okay. Tammy Ann will appear in the documentary. And she's taking notes. That's why she's writing so quickly right now. That's why she's not in a trance. But, and we'll do live healings. We'll show God's, actually in the documentary we made, created, they have a 25,000 square foot studio down in Hollywood. And of course, the other thing we have is our Music and Miracles tour. Our Music and Miracles tour. And we have another person that's joining that tour. Her name, in fact, I met her yesterday. Her name is Lana Love, and she'll be joining our tour also. And she not only has an incredible voice, but she also has the gifts of clairvoyance, clairaudience, and she's also a healer. And she'll be joining us also. So we'll be reaching out and touching the lives of people all over the world through the books that are already out there, because people will now want to start reading the books. Because once they see the movie, a lot of people like to go back and read the book that created the movie. From the books that you helped write, from the movies of The Great Tomorrow and the documentary, and from the M&M, the Music and Miracles tour. So we will touch the lives of people all over the world and give them an opportunity to have whatever religion they choose, but to recognize indeed that God and the spiritual masters manifest themselves in many different ways, whether they be a Buddhist, Christian, a Jew, an agnostic, or an atheist. It doesn't make a difference. What's important is how you live your life with love and compassion as we try to bring in the great tomorrow. Now we come to the fourth tree. The first had to do with feeding the hungry children in the world, hungry people in the world. The second had to do with the health of people in the world. And the third had to do with giving people the opportunity to understand their relationship with the divine and our Creator. And the fourth is giving every human soul in this planet an equal opportunity, a sustained equal opportunity for those three elements: religious beliefs, for health, and for food. Every person a sustainable, equal opportunity, shared equally with every person on the planet. That is the mission of the Great Tomorrow and the four trees, being feeding the hungry, the health of humanity, physically, the spiritual health of humanity, and fourth, sustainable equal distribution to all people all over the world. That is what the Great Tomorrow is right now. But our main goal in this site is a spiritual aspect. Is a spiritual aspect. Although there are some of you that might get involved in other areas of it. Through word of mouth, for example, or just through helping others, finding out there are other solutions and other goals that can be met. I just looked to my right because a red light just came on. Did you see that, Sam?
No.
Right here. Oh, okay. The decisions that are going to be made by the Great Tomorrow are not going to be made by me any longer. Our core group make decisions. I am just one of the four, and it's important you know that. I am just one of four people. Although from a spiritual aspect, you might say in a sense I'm the leader of the spiritual aspect, just as we'll have a scientist that will be in charge of the Cancer Corporation. Another scientist will be the CEO of a corporation that will have dealing with the elimination of cavities, infections that we have in our teeth around the world. I'm just using that as an example. So in a sense, I might be the CEO of the spiritual mission, but as far as the core group, I'm just one of four people, and the other three have equal decision making as I do. So it is a group function, just as this website is a group function. This is not my website. This is our website. This is not my parish. This is our parish. This is not my chapel. This is our chapel. And the words that I share with you are not my words. They're words that are coming from the community of spiritual masters and from our allies from out of earth who share them with me in turn to share with you. It's important that we identify, as I mentioned earlier, the people to become part of our organization. Well, this is more for the core group. There'll be people that will want to become part of the curing cancer, who want to cure cancer because they want their name written up in the newspaper as being involved and making a contribution, or for financial reasons, which That is not what our goal is. Our goal is not financial. Our goal is not ego incurring counsel. Is to help humanity, even though we recognize that we those who want to become a part of it, just as we want to become part of the great tomorrow, who are coming from ego or coming from a different position of motivation, whatever that be. From a spiritual point, many will want to become involved from an ego standpoint. It's like, I am too part of the great tomorrow. When in reality, they have their own book they want to write. They want to perhaps sell more copies by saying, hey, I'm part of the great tomorrow. Anyway, we'll deal with that by using discernment, because we're not going to turn around and give endorsements to those who don't share the same intentions and the same purpose that we have. If they write a book that shares the same intentions and same purposes that we have, I have no problem saying go read their book on the site. But if the book doesn't have the same intentions, and the book is one that talks about there's a devil and that God's going to punish you, the book will never be recommended on the site. You know that. Even if they say they're part of the great tomorrow, because they don't have the same belief systems we have. It's so important that we use our energies properly, because our energy is so powerful. Everything in the world has energy. Everything that we do has energy. What I'm sharing with you are the messages that were given to me. I'm looking at some notes. These are the messages that were given to me when I was in San Diego by the community of spiritual masters. I just took very short notes. And one of them says, very important that we use our energies, because our energy is so powerful, because they impact everything we come in contact with. Others who they become our pupils, and we are their teachers, just as I, in turn, receive the energy from the community of masters, because I am their pupil, and they are my teacher. So we must grow wisely as our organization, as the great tomorrow grows. It must grow wisely, because it's not going to be determined. Our strength and our success will not be determined by the number of people we have in our organization, but by the quality of the people we have. And by quality, I mean the impact positively that the people we have in our society, that our great tomorrow have on society. Let me give you an example. If you had a basketball team, isn't it more important than rather having 20 players in your team that you have 5 that are all stars and 5 that are great players? As the playoffs are being played at right now in the NBA, isn't it more important the team have 5 stars on the team, the quality of those players, rather than having a roster of 20 players, which they're not allowed to have anyway? They're only allowed a maximum of 12. But you understand the point I'm making. If we have 3 singers in Music of Miracles, isn't it important that we have 3 singers with incredible voices, like Nadine and Robbie Britt, like Dean Rashad, Robbie Britt, and Land of Love? Isn't that more important than our having 20 people who are not great singers, who are just mediocre singers? And that's why it's so important that we bring onto us those that are quality, have the quality to make a difference and impact the lives of others. And not just have people join us because they want to say, I'm part of the great tomorrow, but they're not willing to make a contribution. So we have to grow wisely, because it's not numbers. It has to do with the quality and the talent and the intentions of the people that we have joined with us. We have to expand people's minds. What I'm going to share with you next might be objectionable to some of you, but it's true. This is being, by the way, these words I'm showing you were words that Maitreya was giving me these words. So Maitreya was talking to me. And Maitreya said, Nick, it's so important that you realize that Yeshua has other masters who are just like him, but are not known in the world. Names you never heard before. I have the names someplace here. They're names that you never heard before. And yet you have to honor them also. I'm speaking of names such as, besides Maitreya, I'm talking about Maitreya. Of course, Yeshua, we know. Then there's Master Kutumi, Master Moya, Lady Nada, Kuan Yin, Mother Mary, who appreciates rather just being called simply Mary, and there's Sanat Kumara. And there's another unnamed master. There's another master whose name we do not know. It has to do with being basically responsible for our planet. So there are 9 masters. Yeshua is just one of them. And the others, there's names you may not know, but it's important we honor them too. It's just like 9 people who write an incredible book, and only one person, name we know. We have to honor the other authors of that book also. And Yeshua wants us to honor those who are his co-workers in the community of spiritual masters, as well as those also who are not part of the community of spiritual masters, but of those who are our allies from outside of our planet. And I know you think that this is far-fetched, some of you may, but that's okay, because it's reality. And it's time to recognize and honor that indeed we are not the only people in this galaxy. We are not the only planet in this universe. And there are masters on other planets in the universe. There are masters, there are Yeshuas and other planets, that they're masters of those planets. And they are far advanced in many cases than we are. And they're trying to help us also. Doesn't that make sense that we're not the only planet in the universe? And there'd be masters on those other planets also. And if they're more advanced than we are, that they would have the ability perhaps through their technology and their wisdom of being able to have a positive impact also help in conjunction with those who are the community of spiritual masters. That is a reality. That is a reality. So we have to honor them, even though we don't, you may never heard the name before, just as we honor Yeshua. I'm speaking of the community of allies from off Earth, whose names are Kendu, Sho, Osiris, Onstara. Those were 4 that I also met with and shared information with me that you'll hear from before this series of talks is over, that I met with when I was in San Diego. Everything I just told you happened just the first Monday afternoon that I met with them. That all took place just in 1 hour and a half. And I've already taken up an hour last week and a half hour today. So basically the same hour and a half. Same hour and a half I spent with them. Basically I've spent with you so far. And then I covered the first day I met with them, which was a Monday, which I met with them for 1 hour, 90 minutes. And I was with you for an hour last week and so far today, I've been with you for 30 minutes, 90 minutes, the same time I spent with them the first day. Now I'm going to Tuesday. The second day I met with them, which was on April 22nd. And Yeshua was the first one to speak to me. And you are not going to be, some of you are not going to be pleased with what I'm going to share with you, because you're going to say that's not what your beliefs were. But this is what he said to me. And he wants you to accept this as absolute truth. He did not ever marry Mary Magdalene. He did not ever marry her. Yeshua told me that they had an Essene contract that they made when they were younger, when they were in the teens, and that both of them mutually agreed to revoke it. And the reason he revoked it is that they feared, indeed they feared for his life, that someday he might leave a widow with children. And he did not want to leave Mary in that position, Mary Magdalene, in that position, that someday she could be a widow with children, not have a father for the children, a husband. Because he feared that someday they might take his life. But he said to me, Nick, he never intended to die on the cross. Never. He had absolutely no knowledge that he was going to die through crucifixion. He had no knowledge how he was going to die. He said, Nick, I knew my life was in danger, but I did not know how. And it's not true that I volunteered to die on the cross. forgive people the sins. He said, that is so wrong, so wrong. He said, I did not know I was going to die on that cross. He said, people have to realize that. It has nothing to do with being sinners, nothing to do that I gave up my life. I did not willingly give up my life. I would have preferred that I married Mary Magdalene and had children. But it did not happen. He also told me, he said, Nick, I chose to be celibate during that lifetime. I chose, it was a decision I made to be celibate, and that I never consummated that relationship with Mary. That was my choice and Mary's choice. So no, I never had children like some of these people write these inane books claiming that Mary and I had children and the children were raised in France. Nick, I chose to be celibate in that lifetime, he told me. Yeshua did. He decided and Mary not to consummate their relationship. And he said, I have no objections to people not being celibate. He said, he said, Nick, he says, I believe that priests should be married and be allowed to have families. So I am not advocating celibacy to others. He said, but that was a choice that I made during that lifetime. Mary Magdalene and I did not have any children, and we never married. I asked about the Gnostic. One of the questions you had from the previous week was about the Gnostic Gospels. Do you remember you asked? You said, Nick, ask Yeshua about the Gnostic Gospels. And he said to me, Nick, the Gnostic Gospels are no more accurate than the other Gospels were. Oh, there are some truth, he said, in the four Gospels, some truth. And there is some truth in the Gnostic Gospels. Even no, Nick. There are a tremendous number of inaccuracies in all the four Gospels, as well as also the Gnostic Gospels. He said, just some accuracy, but a lot of information which is inaccurate. So he did answer your question. You asked me to ask him about the Gnostic Gospels. He said, they are also full of many inaccuracies. He also said to me, Nick, he said, I don't want you, I don't want the group, the Great Tomorrow group, to challenge the church. Don't challenge the church, Nick. Instead, build it from the top to the bottom. He said, go to the leaders of the church, not the people that are in the pews in the churches in Lake Oswego or churches in Sacramento or Montreal or in Spain or France or wherever. He said, you have to go to the top. You have to go to the top and change the teaching, change the understanding of those who are leaders of churches. You have to change the thinking of the leadership of the churches. For the people in the pews in the churches cannot make the changes. It's the leaders. If we're talking about the Catholic Church, it's the people in the Vatican. That's what we have to go to change that understanding and what they're teaching those below them. It's a pyramid. We have to go to the top. We have to go to the top of the pyramid, Nick. I said, the top of the pyramid and work our way down. From the leaders to change the teachings, they in turn are passing on down to the cardinals, to their bishops, to their priests, and to the clergy, and down to the person that's in the pew, in the church, P-E-W, pew. It has to come from the leadership. He said, and we must give Pope Francis time. We must give Pope Francis time. He says that he will become a great pope someday. And he's going to make many, many changes, and they're going to make sure they're going to help him influence his thinking. They're going to help the Pope influence his thinking. Such as is happening right now with Pope Francis, that he's accepting gays. They said, you will see, before next year is out, that priests will be allowed to be married. And women will be honored also, that they can be priests too. And priests will be allowed to have children. He said, Nick, give Pope Francis time. He's the right man. We have selected the right man. And he will change the church. That's what they meant by leadership from down. He also told me that in 2015, that my core group, our core group, myself and the other three people in the core, and you don't know who the other three are. I mean, I know who they are, but you don't know them. One was, one of our core group was spent the last 6 months in Wales feeding the hungry children, teaching them how to grow hemp and rice, and building schools for them. And the other two people in my core group, you haven't met them yet, but they're involved most specifically in providing the resources for us to have the healing of cancer patients and the elimination of those who are treating cavities by drilling, instead treating as an infection with medicine. So there are 4 of us in the core group. And Yeshua told me that the 4 of us would indeed meet with Pope Francis sometime in 2015. There will be many changes made in the church between now over the next 18 months. You will see. They assured me that. They gave me an analogy. They said, Nick, don't use the pyramid anymore. Do not use a pyramid anymore. We have a better analogy, because it's not a question of climbing. It's a question of our souls growing, And they said, and they have me make this chart. Can you see this chart? I'm looking at it in reverse. They said, Nick, that round circle represents your soul. It represents God. That round circle, that large round circle, represents God. And what happens is that when you start out on your journey, rather than a pyramid of walking up steps, this little dot here represents how much you, in terms of a person, your conscious mind, your ego, and all those other things you deal with, how small it is compared to your soul. How small it is compared to your soul. Can you see that? Oh, I'm going to get on camera. Sorry. How small it is compared to your soul. And what happens as you enhance your understanding and your knowledge, as you enhance it, it grows larger. It grows larger. It becomes more part of God. It's becoming part of accepting that your soul, that you are becoming more at one with your soul. And as time goes by, it goes from a dot to perhaps the size of a pea, half the size of a ping pong ball. It gets larger, it moves again, and encompasses more and more of that soul inside of you, becoming one with God. And as time goes by, maybe many lifetimes, let me hold it up this way. It grows and grows and grows and grows, grows and grows. And its purpose is someday, it grows so large that you have grown so much in terms of your soul, in terms of rather than climbing up the pyramid, that becomes at one with God. It becomes at one with God. And you don't have to ascend. You don't have to grow any further, because you are one with God. Perhaps this is where the masses are, right here. This is where they are. And this is much more growth they have until they become at one with God also. Can you see this? Can you see this, what I'm sharing with you? They have me draw this. That we go from this amount where our ego is basically controlling our lives. And as we practice our vows, we learn how to live our lives, enjoying life every moment, let others enjoy life through us. That we're loving, but we provide love and joy to other people's lives, and we show universal love and compassion. We ourselves, our own within us, become larger and larger, becoming one with our soul, one with that part of God inside of us, until we become one with it, which could take possibly many, many other lifetimes. He said, that is the analogy I'd like you to use, Nick, rather than using climbing a pyramid. He said, that's a better analogy. It would make more sense. He also gave me another analogy. He said, think of a person starting here, and they're trying to reach a location. They're trying to become at one with God, and they want to take a journey. They want to take a journey down the road to reach the home where God is. They want to return home to God, be one with God, God's house. But people chose many different roads. People chose many different roads. There's some that chose a road that has many obstacles in front of it, many obstacles. They may choose a road that they have to climb over mountains on their journey to become one with God, to reach their destination, or to swim oceans, or perhaps on a boat and the wind is blowing again the opposite direction and they're not making any progress. It could have many twists and turns and take many, many years. Some are taking this journey very, very slow. That journey to become one with God. It may be because of their own free will. It may be because of the teachings they were taught, which is actually holding them back for their own personal growth. And there are others who maybe find a clear path and a straight line and are able to achieve their goals, and their dot grows larger and larger faster, so to speak, becoming one with their soul mind. But it's so important we recognize that every one of us is on a different journey. And some the journey is hard and difficult. And one of the responses we have, one of the responsibilities we have in the Great Tomorrow is to help others on their journey by teaching them truth, by sharing truth with them, so that some of the obstacles and walls that they come in front of them are surmountable when they recognize indeed every one of us is a child of God and that they're not sinners and there is no such place as hell. For it's beliefs like that which are actually affecting their ability as a journey they're on becomes so laborious and so hard and so difficult. Because they in turn have a responsibility to become a teacher also. And they become an apostle. And they in turn have others that become their disciples, their pupils. Remember the word, apostle means a teacher. It came from the ancient Greek word apostolos, which means a teacher. And disciple means a pupil. It comes from the ancient Greek word disciples, which means pupils. So that every one of them also can become apostles also, if we in turn can teach them the truth, that they're not sinners, that no person is a sinner, and that every person is equal in the eyes of God, because we're all God's children. This is all interwoven together, all of it. The journey we're on, and helping others in their journey, and in the process of doing it, that little dot grows larger and larger, and we become one within our own soul, till we're one with God. It's all interrelated. I'm looking for my additional notes I had. I'm looking for another page. Just give me a moment. Somewhere in here I have another page. There we go. And they also told me something else. And this is the fact there are many different roads and it takes many, many lifetimes to travel these roads and to have your own soul grow. They said to me that Yeshua and the masters are not God. They are not God. They're also on their pathways and their journeys also, just as we are. Again, they might be here. But they said, Nick, we have masters that are also showing us the way. There is a chain, Nick. Just as you are sharing this information with people on the site that are part of the Great Tomorrow, and we in turn are sharing that, so that in a sense, you are being an apostle. Your group, your core group, your website is being an apostle because it's teaching others. And also, Nick, at the same time, you are a pupil because we are teaching you. We who are the community of spiritual masters, as well as our allies from other places outside our galaxy, are teaching you. So it is also that we have those who are teaching us. Speaking of those who are also that are even more advanced masters than Yeshua. Now, some of you may not like that. Some of you want to believe that Yeshua is the Son of God. He says, yes, he is the Son of God. We're all God's children. Every one of us are the children of God. But he said, yes, indeed, Nick. I, Yeshua, also have masters that are teaching me, as well as the other members of the community of spiritual masters. Some of you may not want to hear that. And I know that those who are conventional members of the Christian religion will refuse to believe that there are other masters that are teaching Yeshua also, so that he too can become one with God. For he has not completed his journey either. I should say that he's also on his journey of growth till Yeshua also become one with God. It is a chain. We go from being a disciple, a pupil, to a teacher, and from a teacher to a master, from a master to a higher master. That's what he said to me. He's naked as a chain. I went, that he also is on, he, Yeshua, and the other members of the community of spiritual masters. It's a chain where they have higher masters, and they are also pupils. Every one of us is both a teacher and a pupil at the same time. We're a teacher because we're learning from the site, as well as from the community of spiritual masters and the allies who are aligned with them. And we in turn take that information, a pupil, and we teach others that information so they also can make more progress in the journey they're on. Every person is a pupil and a teacher. Everyone, including the spiritual masters, Yeshua and Maitreya and the other masters, including me, including every one of you. We are pupils, and we're also teachers. Every person, every soul is on a road, on a journey to become one with God. I emphasize those words because they emphasized them to me. That every one of you, every soul is on a road, on a journey to become one with God. And you are both a pupil as well as a teacher. I've been with you for 45 minutes. Let's see, half hour, 45 minutes. We have 15 minutes left in the hour I'm going to spend with you. How am I going to spend the last 15 minutes? First of all, I want to acknowledge that Richard, you mentioned to me that you enjoy the broadcasts and the books. That you have a specific request for your wife's cousin's son in Toronto, whose name is Adam Billinghoff. He's 21 years old. He has lymphoma. He's been in the hospital most of his life. And you asked if I would pray for him. So the energy that's going to be sent out is not only for him, but the energy I'm going to share with you is going to be divine energy. It's going to go out to throughout the globe, who's willing to receive it, who's capable of receiving it. I ask those who are the spiritual masters, who are part of the community of spiritual masters, they send out this energy to open up your hearts and your souls and your minds, that you may receive the information that they're sharing with me, that I in turn am sharing with you. They also send out a healing energy that heals you. Those of you that need healings, whether the healings be physical, mental, psychological, whether it be through addictions, or a part of your physical body that need to be healed. Also spiritually, that they send out their energy throughout the entire planet, Those who have the ears to hear, they can hear these words, whose hearts are open, and they open their hearts and their souls to this energy. Some of you are going to start feeling it. I haven't. It hasn't yet gotten to the volume I want it to be, or what they want me to be. Let's be silent for about 60 seconds and give them the opportunity to send out the energy to you. I'll take you on a journey with me. You're telling me to take you on a journey with me. I want you to think of yourself as being the edge of a field. And the field has beautiful, beautiful trees growing within it. Because it's not only a field, but it has beautiful trees in it that have been carefully planted. And there's a space between the trees, a row, that you can walk through the field. And you start walking through the field. And either side of you are the beautiful trees that God has grown to nourish the children. And as you get further and further in the field, you can see that pretty soon the field's going to come to an end. You only have 20 more steps to go. And you can see the daylight, that pretty soon you'll be past the trees. And the trees no longer will provide shade. And they'll open the light. And you start walking the last 20 steps. 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12. And you know that when you get through the field, 12 more steps to go, that Yeshua, some of the other masters, particularly Yeshua and Mataya, will be on the other side, waiting for you to come out of the field into the light. 11, 10, just 10 more steps. And you'll be at the end of the field, into the light, where Yeshua and Maitreya are waiting to greet you. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5 more steps. 4, 3, 2, 1. Step into the light now. Step into the light. Because Yeshua and Maitreya are standing there to greet you. And they have a smile on their face. And you smile because you recognize that indeed they're here to help you in your journey to become one with God. And so it shall be. It's 8 more minutes or 7 more minutes, and our show will have been on for an hour. I'm going to ask them what they want me to share with you during these last 7 minutes, because I don't know quite what I'm going to talk about. I will share with you that Sarah called me. She flew from San Diego back to Arizona today. And last Sunday, she had a service. Yes, that's what they want me to share with you. Last Sunday, she had a service in the chapel. And 2 of the members of my core group, 2 of the members of our core group were in the chapel. They had driven from Mesa to her home, to the chapel. And at that service, a doctor came to that service. And he came in anger because 3 of his patients that were dying claimed they had a healing from Sarah. And he came to ridicule her, saying it's impossible, and to call her a false healer. And in front of the entire audience, he broke down and cried at the end of the session, saying that he himself had had a healing, one of humility because he had thought he was God, and he saw healings all around him. And he cried, literally cried in front of the entire audience. That was last Sunday, a week ago. Also, a clergyman was at that service in her chapel, and he came with a sore neck and something very seriously wrong with his neck. He was a fundamentalist clergy member, and he had a healing. And also one of the members of our core group, his wife, was with him, and he had a healing. That's what they wanted me to share with you. The incredible, incredible power of our divine. So many people received healings in that chapel, in Sarah's chapel last Sunday. And that's what we'll be doing on our tour of Music and Miracles. Besides the beautiful, beautiful gifted voices from Nadine and Robbie and Lana, there'll be healings. And then we'll have 45 minutes of singing, an hour and a half of sharing God's messages and the healings, and 45 minutes more of the beautiful singing of these talented voices, the gifts that God had given to them that they share with us. And also at those Music and Miracle Tour, the spiritual masters will be there. Their energies, you will feel their energies in the room. They said to me, Nick, recognize us and acknowledge that we're there, and we'll create a cordon of energy, and the healings will be magnificent. It is coming. It is coming. They don't have a calendar upstairs. They don't have a calendar. But if I had to use my best judgment, we're probably looking at August, May, June, or maybe July, maybe the latter part of July. The first Miracles, Music and Miracles presentation would be. So that's what they wanted me to share with you these last few minutes we had together, is the miracles that occurred in Sarah's chapel last Sunday, which indeed was God's way of showing the love and compassion he has for his children. And secondly, is to give you an update on Music and Miracles that's coming soon. And many of you will be able to attend it. For eventually we'll not only be in auditoriums, convention halls. We don't care about the initial size. They said, Nick, don't care about the initial size. What's important is those who come there with the intentions of wanting to learn truth and the messages, or to receive a healing, who believe that indeed God is capable of healing them. That's more important, that there be 1,000 people there than 10,000, or 9,000 might be coming just to thinking it's a joke, or to ridicule what you're doing. It's those who are coming with the intentions to receive healings and believe that indeed that God is capable of healing them, and want to partake in the beautiful, beautiful music that we play by the three gifted singers. So it's not the numbers. Those numbers will grow, Nick. As the word gets out, those numbers will grow. They'll grow and grow and grow to eventually you'll need auditoriums and stadiums, and eventually be on TV, on television, nationally and internationally. That will happen someday. Not overnight, but it'll grow. And you're going to be part of it. You are part of the great tomorrow. So I'm going to say right now, since it's only a minute away from having been with you an hour, that our community spiritual masters and those who are with us from as allies from other places outside of our earth send you their love and wish you the best. It will help you every possible way it can. You in turn also can be part of the great tomorrow and helping in the golden age and help you in your journey to become at one with God. So God bless every one of you as you continue on your journey. And I'll see you next Sunday. We will continue with the message that they share with me, that I in turn have the responsibility, that we in turn have the responsibility to share with you. God bless you.